Thank you for joining us again today. We are here with Tone Tellefsen Hughes, who is a chiropractor and owner of Lux Yard Clinic in Godalming in the UK. Tony does a wonderful course with us on Merkaba called Mindful Body Movements, which is really about building awareness of what's going on in your body so that you can alleviate tension and hopefully bypass having to go down a painful journey. And she also provides wonderful exercises that you can do. So welcome, Tona. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, Natalie.
So today we're going to talk about the patient journey, because that's something you're quite passionate about and you talk to us about in the course on Merkaba. And you've just released a new poster, which we have up on the screen here, which really talks about the journey that a standard patient would go through. Is that right? Could you just take us through?
Yeah, it's a poster that we produced together as a team. So all the therapists who work at Lux Yard with me, we put our input together in what we think happens with the patient when they come, and it really starts with the first visit when they come, because most patients come for a reason. They usually come because they're in pain or their lives are limited or restricted in some way. A very small percentage of patients comes because they feel great and they want to feel brilliant. So most people come because they're in pain or their life is inhibited because of their body is unable to do what they want it to do. So it's really important for us to then sit down and talk to them about where they are right now and how that affects them, and for us to understand how that limits their life, but also where they want to go. So we then created this patient journey poster, and we have done it in the traffic light system. So it starts with amber or with red. Right. It starts with red and then it goes to amber and then green. What's very interesting is when people look at the poster, is they straight away they go to the green and point to it and say, that's where I want to go. Go, fine, that's good. We will work on that.
Oh, that's positive, because
yeah,
it is about positive intent, isn't
yeah.
it? And that vision of where you're going is really important to help you achieve your goal, isn't it?
Oh, it's so important. And in our first consultation with our patient, we ask them, what are you unable to do right now? And so we're very clear of their limitations, and usually it would be that it's difficult to sleep, or they can't turn over in bed, or they're unable to go running as much as they want, or they can't play with their children because their back and their spine or areas of their bodies is limiting them. And then the next question we have is, what's your aim? What do you want to achieve? That's really interesting, because I would automatically think that everybody wants to get rid of pain, but actually quite a lot of people just want to have an answer, because they have been to the doctors and they've been here and seen consultants and nobody knows what to do with them, and they want a diagnosis, and then they want to know what they can do about it, and that's not, that's very interesting. We all have different aims with our lives, really. So the more I and my therapist, we can understand what their wishes are, the more we can work towards achieving that with them and take them on that journey.
And you talk often about being a co-creator with your patients, about them being actively engaged as a partner on their healing journey.
Yes.
And I imagine that would be a big part of this as well. It's not just about what you can do for them.
Yeah.
They need to do for themselves.
Oh, absolutely. And I think there are so many therapists out there who treat everybody the same. You're just a number, and everybody will have the same amount of treatment. And every person who comes into my clinic and sits in front of me, they're a person with a name, an individual, and a history. And so you got to understand that and respect that, and then ask, what do you want to achieve and how can I help you to get there? And the chiropractic adjustments, the massage, the treatment is really just one part of that. The other part is enabling people to go, how can I say, opportunities to go out and do things and sit differently, stand differently, speak on the phone differently, or maybe just mindset changes. And we find that when we work that with the patient, along that way, what can you do and how's it working? What's not working? we know from research that they have much better results, and they work with you much better than if you say in the old-fashioned way, well, this is your problem now, and you're going to need so many treatments, and you have to do this and this and this, and if you don't do that, then you will be like X, and that doesn't work with people. They need to be engaged in their journey.
Yeah.
And I also love the fact that we don't run schemes in our clinic. We believe that everybody have an individual path of recovering, and the abilities are endless, really, and so you can't set a time on that. Everybody cannot be treated in the same way, in the same system. So yeah, it's so much more interesting working that way.
We all have certain milestones and floors of the building that we would have to reach, but the staircase in between can be 2 steps for some people and 24 steps for another, and that's what makes us individuals, isn't that right?
And which makes, if you ever consider wanting to become a manual therapist, it's, one of the most exciting jobs, because every person who comes through your door is different. And like you say, you have different history, you have different genetics, you have different, injuries, and also different mind beliefs, and nutrition. And that very much will then guide how you're going to recover. But everybody can change. And that's why my course, the Mindful Body Movements, I think is so essential, because it's really an anti-exercise course. It's about going back to the roots. Okay, how do I move a body? How do I move it without effort? And learning it from the beginning. And as I said before, and I don't think you can say it too much, is that you cannot change any pattern inside yourself until you've observed it. So it's the same when people are doing a nutritional course, or if they're doing a course on yoga or behavior, you've got to start looking in, and when you sense, I'm standing crooked, I'm doing this, I'm holding the phone like this when I'm cooking, or when you're doing something like that and you suddenly go, light bulb, I'm doing it, then you can make an effort to change it. But you can't do that until you observed it. Yes. So all the courses on Merkaba are just wonderful, because they give everybody an opportunity to start exploring, who they are and how they work.
And being more conscious of things and habits that we do every day, because life is habitual, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's so much of the stuff that informs choices we make we don't even think about. So it's really bringing that to your conscious mind and making different choices, perhaps. Because while you were talking actually about the patient journey, I was thinking, based on everything that you teach in your wonderful course, it actually starts far before that, doesn't it? Patients come to see you when they've got pain, but their journey begins a lot far in the past, and that's the iceberg syndrome that you speak about so eloquently, about everything that happens to get you to that point.
Yeah, and someone came in to me the other day and they said they had been told that it's not what you're doing, it's what you've been doing. And, we very much talk about birth, what happens in the birth process. What falls might you have had as a child and just been given a plaster instead of, maybe being looked at it properly. Car accidents, whiplash, injuries that we have that we perhaps ignore. And then we just set in a pattern like this, and we set in a pattern like that. And then you do another. It's all about compensations. And like when people do come into us, we have several parts. Either the one it's been building, and then it spills over, or they actually have an accident that's, a car accident that was you can plan for. Mm-hmm. But in the journey we talk about when people come in pain, it's easy to look after yourself when you're in pain in one sense, because you're reminded of the pain the whole time. You're getting messages of pain, stiffness. But when you go into the amber phase, that's where, you can fall off the wagon, because you won't be having daily reminders of pain or restriction or dizziness or whatever it is that you come for, and you will, because of the way we've been trained, we think we're fine. We don't understand physiology, that, just because you're not feeling the injury or the dysfunction that you had in your back or neck or your muscles of your arm, it doesn't mean that it's completely fully healed and strong and stable. And the poster we created is to start helping people to go through that phase safely. So they then come into the green phase where they are stable and they maybe just need a top up, and we call it fine tuning.
So that phase, that relapse phase that you talk about, it's about recognizing that I'm not properly healed, or actually I had certain habits before that got me to this point, and therefore I need to think about doing things differently. Is that what that refers to?
Yeah. And you know, when people come for their, like a tune-up session or a check-up session to make sure everything's fine, very often they come in and say, I'm fine, I don't know why I have to be here. And we go, that's fine, let's just check you through. So we check through the spine, we check their alignment, and invariably we will find something that is starting to build, but they haven't become conscious about it yet. So we are able to correct that, and then they can walk on, you know, in the green phase. But in the amber phase, they haven't learned the pattern of changing how they stand, how they sit, you know, how they're hunching or being upright, how they're putting the head forward, you know, all this sort of thing, how they're grinding their teeth, all the things that they've been doing unawares. And that journey is the hardest for the patient. And the more we can educate our patients about that journey and hang in there, just keep doing it. Which is why I did my app and my DVD, the Chiro Moves collection, because it offers people an opportunity to do their exercises every day. And the more you do it, you know, they say it takes 21 days to change a habit. You know, the more you do it, eventually it will become automated, and then that will become a new habit.
New place.
And it's
about some small steps that you can do daily that over time lead to big change. Because yeah. And I think that's where your course sits so wonderfully as well, because it's a combination for me of those two things that you've been speaking about. It's about making people aware, raising consciousness and going, oh yeah, I do sit that way. That is true. That's pretty much my daily routine, and that's, you know, how little I move within it. So it's about first making them conscious, but then actually giving them tools. And these are a simple stretches that you can do daily, which will help you on your path and put you back in touch with your body, but actually get you moving again.
Yeah.
And the thing that struck me, Jay, is that it's simple and it's small, isn't it? Those, you know, these aren't big like activities that you have to undertake.
No.
It's just a few minutes.
I mean, sometimes we say to people when they start, because it's very easy to be overwhelmed. One of the pitfalls that therapists have is that they give too many exercises to their patients. And I have so many patients and friends who've been to therapists and they've been given half an hour, 40 minutes of exercises to do. It is ready for failure. So the simpler and the easier and the shorter it is, the better. And very often when they come and see us, we just say, I just want you to do one thing between now and next time, and that is to stand straight and not to stand on one leg or one hip. And we call it standing like a teapot when you're standing on one hip. And it's one of my chiropractors, Nick, who's come up with that concept. But now everybody knows the teapot, you know, but you know, it's so important, because if you're building a house on an uneven foundation, you know, you have sand and it's not strong, you know, and it's going to tip a little bit. You're building the house on top of it, it's going to tip, and everything is going to, you know, dilapidate a bit. And it's the same thing. If you're standing more on one leg and one hip forward and one knee forward, you're going to create a torsion and rotation in your spine. Your spine's going to have to cope with that. And if you're then hunching on top of that, you have a double corkscrew effect. So one simple exercise can mean, I'd rather that people just did the, you know, standing straight out of everything and did that well.
And got that foundation, 100% right. And it's about linking it, sort of making it a daily routine, linking it to triggers, reminding yourself, and building from that, isn't it?
Yeah, and triggers could be that you have a reminder on your phone. So you create 1 or 2 reminders saying, sit upright, or posture, or tonus stretches, you know, little gremlin in that head. Or it could be that you have a poster. You know, we have created the other poster, which is about having your neck upright, and the further forward your neck goes, the more pressure it puts on your back. And then we, again, my other chiropractor, Nick, he put the sizes of dogs on top of that. So the further forward you go, equivalent to different sizes of dogs. And at 60 degrees, you have the equivalent of an Alaskan husky on your neck and your back.
That's
and
so
people go, oh, and it's a very powerful tool. So if you can I tell everybody to put it on the fridge. So every time you open up the fridge, you see that message. Oh, okay.
I've got a dog on my head.
Yeah.
So true. You need those constant reminders.
Yeah.
So that's relapse and helping people through relapse. But maintenance is about making lifestyle changes, isn't it? So there's the short-term intervention, which I think most people can manage quite well, and particularly if they're coming out of a painful place. But as you said, maintenance takes you into lifestyle and building new habits. And to do that, how when we talk about exercises, is it a daily routine people should get in? What's the optimum for stretching?
Well, I think it depends what you do. I mean, you have to know yourself. Are you a person who's a routine person? Are you disciplined, like ex-army? Personnel really likes routines. So they will get up and they will exercise and they will then have the breakfast and so on. And if you're not like that, it may be better for you to join a course, to do a Pilates class or a yoga class. We do feel that to make a change, you need to do something minimum 3 times a week. And what you could do is you could do a class 2 or 3 times a week, and then you can stretch or do my ab stretches or my exercises in between. You may want to have other people that you're accountable to. So you might want to go running or go cycling with friends, and then you're letting them down if you don't do it. You need to build structure around you that works for you and what person you are. So that takes a little bit of figuring out. The most important thing is you've got to do it. And then, at home, make sure if you're working from home, you have a good chair, a desk, and the whole setup is there. And maybe a reminder, sit upright or, think of your posture, and at work as well. And then maybe tell everybody at home, so you can remind each other. And so on. So it's about creating daily habits. It's about creating the structure around you where you can do with other people, you can be reminded. But I also believe that there is a power in actually doing the wrong thing. And I call it's a little bit like the bull that hits the wall and after a few times realizes that it hurts and you get a headache from it.
Learn the hard way.
Yeah, and I do think there is it's a power in that, because a lot of patients come to us and they will have a series of treatments and they'll go, bye, we'll see you next time. And then they will go back in bad habits. And when they come back again, they go, right, I'm ready now. Tell me, what do I need to do, to help myself? And then they have made that decision and they will take responsibility. And some people never want to. They're quite happy not to. So, we're all different.
Yes. And very similar to how we've based the website, Merkaba, because we talk about the change journey that people go on, because ultimately any move that you make towards improving your health requires some form of change, doesn't it? And if you're not at that place where you're ready to make any changes, no amount of watching courses or listening to experts or getting guidance is going to help you. You have to make the decision. It's the key ingredient.
And usually it's some sort of pain. You have a burnout. You have a physiological issue with maybe your heart. Maybe there's an accident. Maybe there's issues in the family, breakdown of the family, and you realize, I need to do something here. I need to look after myself so I can look after others or whatever. Sadly, sometimes it has to go to that point. A lot of people have a burnout. They then decide, I have been working too hard. I'm not having enough time with my family. I'm not having enough time for me. I'm not exercising and not sleeping. And it takes they got to get to that wall.
Something's got
to make. Yeah. And then Merkaba is such a lovely platform because it offers so many different things, from the cooking and different nourishment to mind change attitude to the yoga and everything else. It's something for everybody because we all are different. We all have different things that's going to make us happy. And I think going back to the green phase is that even when people are in the green phase, they will have a fall down, you know, a setback. But the lovely thing is that if you, let's say, if you're having chiropractic care and you're on your journey, you're in the green phase, and you're just coming for just top-ups, and that could be 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. You know, it's individual. We don't run everybody the same, but they may still have a setback, but they will get back from that setback so much better, and that's what life's about. You know, it's not perfect. We're never ever going to get to that perfection, but the fact that, you know, you can come and have a top-up and you're back on track again. You know, a tune-up.
And it's having that fundamental knowledge where you can start identifying where you've made errors and bring yourself back on track. And a community to support you
Yes,
is really important.
people around. And I want to bring it back to the fact that I treat a lot of children, and I love the fact that these children have an opportunity to get body awareness early on. And they come in and I say, right, so what do you need done today? And they go, Tony, you need to work on my leg or my arm, or, you know, I'm a little bit out here. And they're 3, 4, 5, 6.
Amazing.
And the parents are giving them this gift to come in and learn about their bodies and how, you know, they feel when they feel good. And then they know that's their parameter. And when they're not feeling good, they know they need to do something about it. And it's not about band-aids, you know, plasters. It's not about Calpol. It's about listening and then what can I do?
And manual therapy, Tona, so you've spoken a lot about you know, the ability to understand your body through the process of manual therapy, and the fact that many people only come to you when they're in pain. So should manual therapy be something that we do as a matter of course through a lifetime?
Yeah, I mean, if I had my way, I think everybody should have an opportunity, you know, as they grow, to see a chiropractor, physiotherapist, osteopath, sports therapist, someone who works with the body, and to get them straight, you know, and just be corrected and checked. I think that's a wonderful thing, because I think that you avoid injuries that way. Your body functions more correct, with more ease, with less friction, and so on. And I'm not talking about over treatment and over correction. It's about having the opportunity to be checked and calibrated, and it gets you back into what we call the proprioceptive awareness of your body, so you can then do what you need to do with it. I just, you know, I have been a chiropractor for 24 years, and I've been treating patients for 25. You know, it's a long time seeing many, many thousands of people, and it saddens me when people come in and they have very bad, you know, awareness of what can be done. You know, they have had 5, 10, 15 years of pain, and they've been told you have to live with it because of your age, because of arthritis, or, you know, and they didn't know. We have set things that we can say that we do as chiropractors, but I just love the body's healing potential, you know, when people get aware of what they can do and when they start making their own changes.
That's wonderful. Well, as I said, your course is a wonderful way for people who unfortunately aren't close enough for you to actually be involved in their day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wonderful way of bringing that awareness to people. It's a real gift, I think. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
And also, if there's obviously your book as well, which is available for download, which explains to people what they can expect through their healing journey, which is a wonderful resource, and your app, which we have a link to on the site as well.
Yeah, and that's also, a lot of people prefer the DVD version because they find it's easier to maneuver. And and then we have a YouTube page under Lux Yard Clinic with lots and lots of free films and body awareness films, and it's about just helping people that, you know, there's a way there, there's a way out, and you can almost always make a little change in the way you are and the way you feel, and it's always something that you can calibrate to improve. And
it all starts with mindfulness and being aware.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Tona.
Thank you.
Lovely having you here, and hopefully we'll have you back soon.
Thank you, Natalie.